Hello, welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. You've come to the right place to tune in and participate with your comments and questions. Love is the greatest healer of all. But sometimes, in order to change our emotions, we must take action in other spheres of our lives. We speak with experts in alternative and complementary health fields and hope you will benefit in some small or great way. Remember, you are wherever your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everyone. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Health In Show, and we are part of Homeopathy World Community, and we're so happy to have you join us today. We're going to talk about all things homeopathy, and surprises are in store. So stay with us because you will hear some of the most wonderful things you can hear about homeopathy. So let me just let you know right up front, you can call in when you want, 919-518-9773. You can join us in our chat. And if you have questions, comments, thoughts, whatever it is, we are monitoring that. It is live, and we will know and we will answer your questions and comment right back. And also, you can come in on Skype voice, and we'll go into that in a few moments as well. So as we get on with the show, just remember this is your show. So please feel free to comment and call in anytime you want. So let me introduce Kavitha to you today. Kavitha is our president and COO of Homeopathy World Community. Kavitha, hello.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good, honey. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good. Good. So take it away, Kavitha.
Okay. Thank you, Marilyn. And hello, everyone, and welcome to the HWC Health In Show. I'm Dr. Kavitha Kuknur, homeopath, and all our Health In shows are dedicated to Debbie Bratt, founder of homeopathy. And her presence is always there with us, and you can see the beautiful chain she gifted. I hope you can see the chain. And first, before I proceed further, I wanted to thank Amnon for giving us this opportunity and helping with our Health In shows. April is so much special. Founder of homeopathy, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann's birthday, 265 birthday of Dr. Christian Frederick Samuel Hahnemann, which we are celebrating on April 10th. It is also considered as World Homeopathy Day. And again, all our Health In shows are for educational and public awareness. They are not intended to provide any self-treatment for any serious conditions. Everyone wants to be healthy, and they wanted to protect or prevent from infectious diseases. And for them, this topic would be interesting and very helpful. So before I proceed further, I would like to make the announcement. Melly, do you have that slide?
Yes, and how about introducing Cathy too? You want to introduce Cathy?
Sure, definitely. Okay, today's first April 9th, 2019, and our topic for Health In Show is homeoprophylaxis to educate the immune system. And today we have very special guests, two guests. In fact, Dr. Isaac Golden and Cathy. And there is a delay with Dr. Isaac Golden. I made a small mistake. I'm so sorry. And so let me introduce first Cathy. And she is from HPWWC. She holds diploma from the School of Homeopathy and a postgraduate licentiate from the College of Practical Homeopathy. She has received specialized homeopathic training in psychosomatic homeopathy, the treatment of epidemics and trauma, and the Narayani remedies, the largest part of her practice. Cathy has been trained in homeopathic prophylaxis through Isaac Golden and has received special consultation in HP from other noted homeopaths around the world, including Dr. Ravi Rai in Germany. She actually writes about HP and presents about this in seminars and webinars. She began the international conferences for the promotion and education of HP in 2015, which has been attended and well accepted. Please visit her website for more information www.hpwwc.org. Let us welcome Cathy Lemmon to our show.
Thank you. Thank you, Kavitha. I'm very pleased to be here. I love homeoprophylaxis, and I love the fact that so many people are looking for a non-toxic option for immunization. This is why I began Homeoprophylaxis, a worldwide choice, HPWWC, back in 2015, because the call for this non-toxic immunization source is just, even since then, it's becoming ever more increased in volume. And so when we look at the facts that are behind the prophylactic use of homeopathic medicines, when we look at the fact that Hahnemann his prophylactic use for belladonna in homeopathic preparation. It's been in use for more than 200 years. I recently wrote an article where I shared how it was Dr. Grimmer, who's a former president of the American Institute of Homeopathy. He was calling for acceptance of the fact that homeopathic medicines work prophylactically, and that was in the early 1900s. And so this is why I do what I do. I love presenting about HP in seminars and webinars, these international conferences. The first one was in Dallas in 2015. And Dr. Isaac Golden, who will hopefully be here very, very soon, he was our keynote speaker. Actually, Dr. Andrew Wakefield was one of the speakers as well. We had the immunologist Tetjana Obukanich. And then that was so successful, it was 2017 that the next one took place. And that was in the Netherlands. And that itself was also...
Hello?
Cathy,
yes.
I think you need to use that number I gave you earlier. Kathy's internet is not working so great today. I think you need to come in because we're missing some of what you're saying. So go ahead and either come in on that Skype so we don't miss a word of what you're saying. Okay. So everybody bear with us a moment. Kathy's internet today is a little wonky. So we're going to get going. But while she's doing that, Kavitha, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Let me ask you something. Why did you want to become a homeopath?
That's right. Wow. Who is dialing? Is anyone dialing? Oh, she's it.
Well, I want to know that answer, but first let's see who's on.
Actually, that is
It's
good.
Cathy. All
All
right. It's Kathy now. Okay, but I want an
I'm
answer.
here.
Okay, Kathy's here.
I'm here.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to have an answer from you soon, okay? But Kathy, go ahead.
You want to talk?
Okay, I'm not sure what came through and what didn't. So
start again. Well, in other words, you were talking about some of the conferences you had attended and Dr. Isaac and so forth, but bring us a little bit more up to date as to what it is and how homeopathy is relevant in that area.
As far as immunization, well, we have quotes from Hahnemann himself, quotes from James Tyler Kent, recent quotes too, that are saying that as well as homeopathic medicines work to treat an illness, they can be even more effective in preventing illnesses. And so that is the part of homeopathic medicines that I am working to make sure is known through the conferences that I put together. And the next one, we had the one that was in Dallas that was very, very well attended and very well received. We had the one in the Netherlands in 2017.
So
which
tell
Isaac
so
Golden
tell us in what way it has been found to be successful. Like, can you get to a little bit more specific?
This is okay. This is something that modern science does not like to recognize, because what happens with homeopathy, as we know, homeopathic medicines themselves, they do not cure. What do? They expose to the body an energetic form and of a plant, animal, mineral. And when we're talking about people who are afflicted with whatever, when the correct remedy is found, the body recognizes the energies that are introduced to it, and the body says, oh, well, that's what I've got to do to heal itself. So when we're talking about the immunization form of homeopathic medicines, what we're doing with this is we are exposing the body to a non-toxic, energetic form of the disease. And what's been found, and Isaac Golden has done brilliant research in this, and he's collected many studies that have been done. India is an incredible place where they have been researching this and practicing this for years. But what has been found when the homeopathic medicines are used prophylactically, the body sees these, responds appropriately, and about 90, that's a 90% of the time, immunization results. What is more remarkable about this as well, too, and Isaac has done further research into this too, and he says as well that more research should be done. It works along the homeopathic principle of being a whole body thing. Immunization is a lot more than simply the presence of titers, the presence of antibodies. One of the speakers at our first conferences was immunologist Tetiana Obukanich, and she pointed out that the body's production of antibodies is actually one of the last things that it will do, if it even does that, when it's exposed to a disease. Really, the body's response to a disease, and please know I'm a homeopath, I'm not an immunologist, but the response to a disease is really a whole body thing. And that's how homeopathic medicines really work, is they work with the whole body. This is what was found with the 2007-2008 experiences that were done in Cuba, where there was a disease of leptospirosis that was so detrimental and has been so just a terrible disease that would happen in Cuba. They did an experience with homeopathic medicines prophylactically, and they found about an 84% success rate with these. And what there was a doctor named Dr. Gustavo Bracco, who was the key doctor, homeopath, involved with this study. What he found as he looked further into this, he decided to do a study with some mice. And he took 3 groups of mice, 2 groups of mice. One he's exposed directly to the leptospirosis virus, and every one of those mice were killed. The second group of mice were treated homeoprophylactically and then exposed to the leptospirosis virus. 80% of those mice survived, not one of them producing any antibodies. And so what this shows, in my opinion, is the homeopathic approach with this, that immunization is a full body experience. It's got to work with the whole body. It's not just simply the titers.
Cathy, can I ask you a
Yes.
question? And then maybe Kavitha probably has a question as well. My
Sure.
question is, so when we're talking about working with the energies in the body, are we taking into account the energies in the body, so is that unique to each body? And then the energies that are around the body that may not be so unique, but that we all are tapping into. Does that make sense to you, my question?
I guess I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. So does homeopathy, does it work with each individual person's energy or the overall energy?
Each individual person's
Okay.
energy, Marilyn.
Okay.
So it will customize to the individual. So every person's energy which resonates with the remedies which they are taking. So in homeoprophylaxis, what we are trying to do is we are educating the immune system. That way, the body gets prepared how to react when things comes up. So it is preparing ourselves ahead with all the immunity. And why it is different. Oh, Marilyn, before I go ahead, I love homeopathy. Why? Because founder of homeopathy, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, is a medical doctor. And he, long story short, when he started translating books, because he saw many diseases, chronic diseases recurring and no permanent cure. Then he stopped his practice and started translating several books, and he came to know one medicine, Chincona, which produces set of symptoms, and when that given to malaria person who is suffering with malaria set of symptoms, it cured. Then he found the principle like cures like, and homeopathy law of similars. That made me feel that homeopathy is beyond the conventional. I'm not saying conventional, don't go for conventional medicines. It has its own beauty, merits, and everything. But homeopathy is a science, energetic science, and it is beyond. And homeoprophylaxis. Now, I do not want to people scared with the word vaccines, but for persons who are not interested in vaccines or who has a different belief, they are trying to find some alternatives or trying to find what is that is safe, non-toxic, and that can help. So that is what is homeoprophylaxis. Cathy, go ahead.
Yes. Well, yes, and what I would add to this too, Marilyn, is understanding that sometimes there is a disease epidemic. Many times there is a disease epidemic, which is one disease, one energy, which is causing the same symptoms in an entire group of people. This is when homeopathic researchers can look at the situation, can look at a locale where this is happening, and they can figure out what we call within homeopathy a genus epidemic. Some sort of energy that is causing the same symptoms in a group of people. And through that genus epidemicus, they can come up with a homeopathic medicine that can work for an entire group of people. This is something that is being done to a very large degree in the nation of India.
It's fascinating.
It really is. When you look at it, there's a nation in India, a province, a state of India called Andhra Pradesh, where from 1999 to 2001, they were having a very serious problem with Japanese encephalitis. And so they found a homeopathic approach, which ended up being a combination of 3 different remedies. When they combined them, they treated 20 million children in this state of India, and within 3 years, Japanese encephalitis was no longer reported. It really is that profound, and this is an announcement I would like to make. We had the first HPWWC, the first Homeoprophylaxis, a worldwide choice conference, was in Dallas in 2015. That was so successful. We had the second one in 2017 in the Netherlands, and the interest is rising and just becoming such a great. There's just such a great interest in this non-toxic and effective alternative for immunization that I will now with a whole lot of pleasure, announce the next one, which will be taking place in January of 2020 in New Delhi, India.
So, Cathy, who's attending these conferences? Is it homeopaths? Is it traditional doctors? Is it the regular people who are just looking for better choices? Who's coming?
Primarily everybody.
Everybody.
all the above. The one in Dallas, yeah, we had a little flavoring of everybody. The one in the Netherlands, there were more homeopaths than anyone else. The one that I've just announced for New Delhi, India, in this coming January, that one we're going to be focusing more on the science, the evidence supportive of the prophylactic use of homeopathic medicines. That one will probably be more for homeopaths, but again, we're going to want to keep the doors open for anybody who would want to attend.
Well, what I love about what you're talking about and what and Kavitha just said is that, we have to take our health in our own hands, and I think homeopathy is our choice.
I believe very strongly in that. One of the things that I love to tell a lot of the webinars and the seminars that I do is for parents, and one of the things I love to tell the parents is that I love for them to feel empowered as they learn about homeopathy and what they can do for themselves, what they can do for their families. It's very empowering to have these homeopathic medicines in hand. I remember some 20 years ago when I was first beginning to study homeopathy, getting my first homeopathic first aid kit and just looking at, here's this remedy that I can be treating for this and this and this and this and this. I don't need to take my children to the doctor for every little thing. It's right here. It's very strong. It's very empowering.
Right.
And Madeline,
yes,
in United States, the main persons which are into the homeoprophylaxis is Kate Birch through FHCI, Free and Healthy Children, and Cathy through HPWWC. So this is an organization, international organizations dealing with this homeoprophylaxis and making sure how to certifying the homeopaths, how to get certified, and about the program, and that way they can educate the public through the training sessions. So, and also Silla Watcott through her real immunity, understanding the disease process, and she has conducted the 2 movies. So, and since I'm the FSCI board member and I do practice the homeoprophylaxis and receiving so much good thing that people are healthy, they are getting less sick. And vaccine damaged kids, they are also opting the natural methods. And Cathy, would you like to add anything more?
I have a son with autism. He's going to be 23, and his diagnosis came shortly before his 3rd birthday. It coincided with the beginning of my homeopathic studies. It's because of homeopathic medicine that Joshua, my son, is doing as well as he is today. I have studied. There are several, and we could spend an entire program on simply discussing.
Oh my God! You're touching up. I mean, I don't have children with on the spectrum, but I certainly know plenty.
Sure,
so you're
absolutely.
You're touching my heartstring now.
Well, it's another passion of mine, and it's another actual passion of Isaac's as well. Homeopathy treats vaccine damage very, very well. I've actually studied this with Isaac Golden. There's a great program out there called CEASE, the Complete Elimination and Cessation of Autistic Spectrum Syndrome. But in any case, it's CEASE therapy. That's another widely used approach for treating vaccine damage. Homeopathy it works with the body's natural desire to be well. And this is why I feel it works so well, not just for healing, but for preventing. And it's very, very empowering. Again, the energetic medicine, the energetic level of healing, of preventing is not recognized by modern medicine. So that's fine.
This is really great. I personally have some questions, but I know Dr. Deepak is here now, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dr. Deepak.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Just continue, please.
Okay, let me accept my mistake and I apologize seriously for the Dr. Isaac Golden. There is a one delay. I told him 1 a.m. of his time. It is 12 midnight. So that I feel so bad. And Dr. Deepak got misunderstood that it's another time.
It's
So there
okay,
is double
Kavitha.
confusion,
Kavitha,
but
don't worry about it. It's
but
okay.
please,
We're
please
yeah, it's
continue.
all right. So we travel the world. Times get funky. It's okay. No, don't even worry about it. It's all good. And Kathy's talking about homeopathy and autism, which I think, and cease. I think that's really incredible because I never knew, and I know some about homeopathy, but I never knew it can undo the damage that a vaccination. I mean, that to me is amazing.
It really is. It really is. And modern medicine, I guess, in the UK and in Canada, they are working to eliminate any even talk of how homeopathic medicine can work with and heal vaccine
They're
damage.
eliminating it, or they're talking about it. I missed what you said.
They are working to
Working on it.
eliminate any talk of it.
Uh-huh.
And so I work with homeopathic practitioners in Canada, and they've shared with me that they're making it very, very difficult. However,
Yes,
I believe
definitely.
very strongly that truth can never be shut up.
No.
You know, I look at my son and how well he is doing. He's in the second year of college, and he's taking classes that I wouldn't even have
So
wanted to take.
so Kavitha had something to say, but I want to know like
You bet.
what happened with your son with homeopathy. I'd love to know a little bit about that story. But Kavitha, what would you? I don't want to interrupt you. What did you just say?
No, like sees autism, this one sees therapy, those now high authorities, they are focusing on it. So homeopaths who are sees therapists, they cannot publicly announce or propagate.
Right.
So it is they have to be very careful.
Right.
S-
Right.
And Madeline, you have anything to say,
Yeah,
or shall
well,
we say Dr. Deepak to
yeah.
what is he doing this special month, celebrating the Dr. Hanneman's birthday and everything?
Yes, Kavita and Merlin, Kathy. I am sorry for the delay because we are celebrating Dr. Hanneman's birthday and we are also celebrating World Homeopathic Day on the 10th April. So we are even celebrate the whole month for to give a tribute to Dr. Hanneman. So in the last event, last Sunday, what we are doing, we are just organizing a event that is called the Run for Homeopathy. You believe that for more than 500 homeopaths and homeopathic students are run for 2 kilometers in the heart of city in the Delhi at the India Gate. I will share you the pics of that event. And Homeopathic World Community (SWC) was the main sponsor of that event.
Wonderful. That's
Fantastic.
amazing. And Merlin, can we have the slide which we wanted to announce as for the
Sure.
thank you so much. And people who love homeopathy, who believe homeopathy, and who want to support homeopathy and HWC Homeopathic World Community with all the work which we are doing for training or educational purpose, they are most welcome to donate any amount, but $1 is quite sufficient. And the link will be open April 9th and 10th. They can visit the Homeopathic World Community and they can make their contributions that way. They can support and encourage the work we are doing. Thank you. Yes, Deepak.
Yes. And your support is really uh, good for the homeopathy and the SWC and for the whole family of the homeopathic fraternity. So we will really thankful to you. We will also share share the link of the donation at our chat. So I request to Kathy. please continue the show and tell us more about the homeoprophylaxis.
Well, absolutely. There's much more that I can share. I'm thinking lately, Isaac Golden has shared a remarkable article in the American Journal of Homeopathic Medicine, just in the spring edition. It's entitled "Large Homeoprophylaxis: Brief and Long-Term Interventions." And in this, he discusses where he discusses cases in Cuba, in India, and in Brazil, where we're talking nearly 100 million people being successfully treated with homeopathic medicines for prophylactic use, and how well these were conducted. It's very, one of the things about Isaac Golden, and I can share this with you here because he's still not with us. He knows how to evaluate numbers. He's not afraid to even question his own numbers. So what he shares is very, very solid information. So it's a very, very good article, very thorough article. I would encourage each one of you to pull up and read again. It is called Large Homeoprophylaxis: Brief and Long-Term Interventions, published in the American Journal of Homeopathic Medicine. I've recently written an article published in, H-Pathy, the online magazine, called Prophylaxis Within Homeopathy. In that one, I explore more of the historical background behind the prophylactic use, again, of homeopathic medicines, and kind of the chaos that we're in the middle of today, where we have conventional medicine promoting only one form of immunization, saying that the terms vaccination and immunization are the same, but they're not. Vaccination is a form of immunization, so is homeoprophylaxis. So working to get that understood, working to make clear that we have nothing to hide within homeopathy as far as the historically sound use of prophylaxis of homeopathic medicines, because it's all there. And it's very, very solid medicine, and it works about 90% of the time.
And in addition to what Cathy said, now we are seeing so many infectious diseases, say for example, measles outbreak. Then people are reaching for the homeopathy. They wanted to try homeoprophylaxis. So it comes, and basically like the susceptibility to the disease will be less, and the resistance and immunity power will be more. And the difference with this homeoprophylaxis is we are giving one remedy in a highly dilute, energetic, non-toxic, no chemicals, no additives, no mercury or anything. And so that is the difference. You are not combining. So smoothly you are educating the immune system.
Exactly. Now there are several approaches to the prophylactic use of homeopathic medicines. Isaac Golden has an approach that has been working and been shown to be very, very solid. Homeopaths that I work with in Germany, Dr. Ravi Roy, his wife Carola Lageroy, they use a different approach that's been very effective for more than 40 years. There's a homeopath in the state of California who what he uses for prophylaxis are actually potentized, that means homeopathically prepared vaccines, which is what is used for the treatment also of vaccine damage. But he's been using those medicines prophylactically. And he's been doing this again himself for more than 40 years with great success. So I think when we look at and consider the prophylactic use of homeopathic medicines, homeoprophylaxis, I think what is best for us to consider is it's highly effective, especially when following principles established by Samuel Hahnemann himself, which are minimum dose, which are like cures like, which are, and as Kavitha, as you were saying, potentizing and using the law of similars with this all.
Yes, Kathy. And I just remember Albert Einstein quote, everything is energy. And that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but that reality. It can be no other way. And this is not philosophy, this is physics. So everything is by energy and the frequency levels. And that's how even psychopathy or telepathy, you get connected to the people. You can read their minds.
Yes, absolutely.
And since I have to say something about Dr. Isaac Golden, Marilyn, is that okay? Just I will listen to tell in his bio in 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Is that okay, Kathy?
Sure.
Wonderful. And if anyone has any questions, please call in or chat. Okay, Dr. Isaac Golden is the world authority on homeoprophylaxis. He is a homeopath and naturopath. Is Deputy Chair and Research Member of the National Institute of Integrative Medicine Committee. Isaac Golden has been in homeopathic practice since 1984 and teaches since 1988. And he founded the Australian College of Hahnemann in Homeopathy in 1990, which offers distance education courses in homeopathy and natural medicine. Isaac is a regular contributor to local and international academic journals and is the author of 11 books on homeopathy. And he has lectured in 10 countries. And he is the world authority on homeoprophylaxis. And he is presently undertaking a range of research projects in Australia and overseas. He was an honorary research fellow, Faculty of Science, Federational University, Australia from 2013 to 16. And he is also a contact person for Liga Medicorium. And for more information, you can visit his website www.homesteady.net. It is HOM, not E, steady.net. And he has so much information to share, and especially scientific evidence and how he was able to help with wax damage kids and more to share with evidence. So yes, Kathy, you want to proceed?
Well, I will be happy to proceed. I keep looking at the time, and I'm hoping that Isaac is able to come on sometime very soon, because he will have some absolutely wonderful things to be able to share as well. One of the things that Isaac loves to talk about too is, and this is further presentation of how homeopathy works with the whole body, because again, the body wants to be well. One of the things that he shares is he was researching homeoprophylaxis in the early time. He began his research in the mid 1980s, and he was seeing such success. The thought struck him, well, what about how might this work for issues for which there are no vaccinations? And so he picked ear and hearing issues, asthma, allergies. He picked, it was about 4 different, and I don't have this in front of me, so pardon me for stumbling. But he picked these different situations, and he made 4 different groups. One of children only treated homeoprophylactically. One for children treated only naturally, meaning he calls this the I call it the organic group. He called it another term. And then one a group for which the children were treated only with vaccination, and one for which there was nothing done at all for the children. And when he put this study together, he was convinced that the organic group, the one where they were eating the whole foods and living the whole lifestyle, being outside, moving around, doing all those good things, that would be the best scoring group. But interestingly enough, when you look at what he compiled, the research, the numbers that he compiled for this study, in nearly every case, it was the children who were treated homeoprophylactically that scored higher. And Isaac says, of course, that it's significant, but it warrants further study, and that's what Isaac will say. Scientist Isaac, and absolutely, further study is definitely warranted for this. But at the same time, just looking at that, it's testimony to me, of how powerfully homeopathy works, because it works with the whole body. It's not just we'll work towards this disease or we'll work just towards this condition. No, it's a full body thing.
Kathy, here's a question on the there's a question on the chat.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Are there any homeopathic prophylactives or remedies for HIV or Hep C? Do you know?
Well, in short, HIV is something that's a complex disease, and this brings in the issue of how homeopathy doesn't work with diagnoses. Homeopathy works with symptoms. And so when we look at HIV cases, and I've worked very closely with an organization that does a lot of work in Africa called the AMA Resonance Healing Foundation, and working with HIV/AIDS is how their approach with homeopathy began. And it's a very successful approach, but at the same time, you'd have to work very closely with your homeopath if you're working for prophylaxis against HIV/AIDS. That's very, very important. I will say this much, is that you can be optimistic about what can result working homeoprophylactically for this.
And again, we have no source. Go ahead, Deepak.
Kathy, what I understand, Malin want to ask about the HIV preventive medicine. Any medicine for the prevention for the HIV. So in this regard, what I have the document that in the India CCRH, the Central Council of Research in Homeopathy, is already working on the prevention of HIV with the homeopathic medicine. We have no medicine till date, but very soon we will have it.
Excellent. Yeah, and this is one thing that I'm going to love about India is how on top of things they are with as far as research.
Yeah,
and what was the other? There was a second part of this.
Hep C.
Hepatitis C.
Yep.
Okay. The short answer to that is yes. Because hepatitis it's a liver condition, and yes, homeoprophylaxis. There's homeoprophylactic nosodes, which are good for every form of hepatitis.
Interesting. That's interesting. Kavitha, what were you going to say? What were you saying?
Yeah, and people who are using the homeoprophylaxis, their children, if you see the health status like asthma, respiratory conditions, eczema, or behavioral conditions, everything, they are very, very less. So overall, their health, when you compare that, we have a lot of statistics. Since we are out of time, I'm not going to display or talk exactly how much people have improved with certain disease from the infectious disease, but overall the statistics, there is a lot of improvement, and millions of I think 10 million people, right, Kathy, in the Dr. Isaac study, they are all on homeopathy. Here you go, Dr. Isaac.
Oh.
Hello.
What's happening?
Oh.
Welcome, Dr. Isaac. I just introduced about your bio, and we have just go ahead, Isaac. I'm sorry for that.
Are we still going ahead, or?
Yes, you are on perfect time.
You're live. You're live, Isaac.
Yes, you made it, Isaac. I just finished your bio, and so Isaac, just since we have less time, let us go directly to the scientific evidence and of homeoprophylaxis and your research that supports HP.
Right. So the key thing with homeoprophylaxis is really the evidence. We know that the method itself is non-toxic. There's been very little research looking at potential energetic effects, but what research has been done has shown that energetically the method is very safe, and as we would expect. The real evidence about the effectiveness is the key point here, because there's no point in having something that's safe if it doesn't work. So I recently had an article published in an American journal showing the use of the method on an annualized basis in over 250 million people. And the use, which was conducted in, I think, 26 different interventions in 3 countries, was mainly carried out by government authorities, universities, or hospitals. And most of the people who actually administered the homeoprophylaxis were doctors who were also homeopaths employed by these official bodies. So this is not evidence from individual practitioners working alone. It's not evidence from people who are untrained in science. It's the opposite. And also, it's evidence from official sources. So it doesn't show the method is perfect, because nothing on the planet will give us 100% protection against any particular targeted disease. But what it suggests is an average level of effectiveness of around the 90% mark. I think the extremes were from about 67 to 99%. And that's very, very similar, by the way, to the research that I did in Australia going from 1985 through to 2002 using long-term interventions against endemic diseases. It also included very large interventions where the dose was given once a year for a decade. And this, once again, is very, very similar to the endemic use as opposed to the epidemic use. I mean, most of the examples we have for the effectiveness of homeoprophylaxis relate to epidemic use. But certainly it is a method which is shown now to be very effective on a longer term basis against diseases which are present most of the time. They may flare up seasonally, but they are around the whole time. So the potential for use has been confirmed in the whole variety of situations for homeoprophylaxis. And it also shows that there's a range of different ways of using the method. So some of the interventions used genus epidemicus remedies, some of them used nosodes, and there were a variety of other options. The Cubans, for example, tend to mix things together. It's not something that I would normally do myself personally, but the Cubans have wonderful experience using combinations where they, for example, in their dengue formula, they had 4 nosodes of the 4 different strains of dengue, plus genus epidemicus remedies for the first stage of dengue, for example, Eupatorium perfoliatum, and for also dengue hemorrhagic fevers, some of the reptile remedies. And they mix 7 or 8 remedies together, and they have very good results. Similarly with leptospirosis, they did a combination remedies. In India, the largest intervention that's ever been recorded against Japanese encephalitis in Andhra Pradesh and then also in Telangana after the states separated, they used a combination in a different way. So 3 different remedies were used over a period of a month, where they had a genus epidemicus remedy, belladonna, they had, if you like, a constitutional remedy, calcarb, and a noso, tuberculinum. And they did that staged administration of those three different remedies once a year. And they were looking at populations of around 20 million people, children 14 years and under, over that a period of time from 2000 and finishing in 2010. I know that. So from around the 1999 to 2009. So it was a decade of use. And so we have some very interesting data because of the long-term use. It showed that when the program was stopped in 2010, then in the following years, the incidence started to rise again, not dramatically, but steadily, as we would expect, because each year a new cohort of, I think it was around about 1.2 million children was being born and not covered, not protected. So it showed the value of the method, which brought down initially in the initial stages from 99 through to about 2003-4, the incidence fell dramatically to virtually zero, kept very, very low, and then once the program was stopped, started to slowly rise again. So that was very informative. So we now have a very powerful evidence base. When I first started back in 1985, when I did my first program, we had almost 200 years of clinical evidence, but it wasn't sort of statistical measures of effectiveness. And in the last 15 years, really, there's been a huge change and a significant body of evidence that has now been produced. So we can say with a great deal of confidence that it's not perfect in the sense it doesn't offer 100% protection, but it offers a substantial level of protection against the whole range of infectious diseases for which it's been applied.
Wonderful. And Isaac, you can go ahead and say whatever you wanted to say about homeoprophylaxis, whatever you wanted to update that can benefit general public, homeopaths, and everyone. Anything that comes up to your mind.
Question. I have a question.
And my mind is moving somewhat slowly.
Dr. Isaac, can I ask you a question? Is this
Yes.
is Marilyn. What about ALS? Is anything being done about ALS? Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. The volume's very low, Maya.
Okay. Can anybody? Okay. Is anything being done about ALS?
Not that I'm immediately aware of. No.
Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe homeopathic, again, individualized constitutional treatment will help, but with what she was asking is like a preventive kind.
Yes, sorry, it's a little bit fuzzy, the words at my end. Look, really, the important issue from my point of view, because of the controversy that homeopathy in general and also homeoprophylaxis faces around the world, it's so important that as practitioners, if we're talking to practitioners, that we present very firm, very solid evidence for the effectiveness of homeopathy in general, but also homeoprophylaxis. Now, in Australia, where I am, we've had some dreadful reports put out by some of the leading scientific bodies here, and in particular by the NHMRC, which is the leading scientific body, saying that basically homeopathy lacks evidence of effectiveness. We know that that's not true. We know there's substantial evidence of effectiveness. which has been presented from a range of information. Randomised controlled trials is one part of the information, but one should not overstate it. There's a whole range of evidence from other forms of statistical studies. Homeoprophylaxis was actually intentionally excluded from the analysis by the NHMRC. Now, it would have been interesting to see if they would have been prepared to actually objectively look at what is available. I suspect they wouldn't, because it was not an objective and statistically sound report anyway. But we need to be firm in when we're talking to people, whether they be official people or parents, that we have a strong evidence base.
That is great.
A whole range of homeopathy. Yep.
Yes, I say, because now everyone say I do not vaccinate my child, and everyone who do not vaccinate, they have this problem, and with respect to the everywhere that there is a research and it works. So, and making so much improvement, and you are doing such a wonderful job. That is really appreciated, I said. And Merlin, do you want to, Amnon and Merlin, do you have any question?
Well, all I would like to say is, Dr. Isaac, I'd love to hear you come back again, because I'm like so engrossed by what you're saying. I want to know more. And Amnon said you were on the Health In Show many times, and I would love to see you come back again. And I'd like us to talk more about this, because this is a very important subject for the consumer.
Yes, well, thank you very much, and I'm sorry I came to this in a little bit of a rush tonight.
That's okay, but you came to but you showed up for the party nonetheless, right?
Yes,
midnight
yes.
got him.
Dr. Isaac,
I'll be very happy to. Next time we must get the time right.
Yeah.
Yes, next time I will make you double check. And thank you so much. I really appreciate all you have shared, your knowledge and wisdom. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Cathy. Deepak, do you have one question? Only one question time.
Yes. Dr. Isaac Golden, sir, Dr. Deepak Sharma here from India.
Yes.
And in this show, we have many people, those are not related to homeopathy. So what you suggest, from which age you want to start the homeoprophylaxis? At the age of day 1 from the infant, or from the pregnancies? So from which stage you want to start the homeoprophylaxis?
Okay, so in Australia for long-term cough, my program normally starts with whooping cough at 1 month of age, although a lot of parents are giving an extra dose if they're in an area where the disease is active at 2 weeks of age. Really, we can start at birth. Now, there's probably some controversy as to whether or not giving the parents, the mother in particular, of course, the prophylaxis during pregnancy actually benefits the baby. It does indirectly, at least, because if the parents are protected against, say, whooping cough, which is, in this country at least, the major disease of concern, then they're less likely to be inadvertently carrying it and therefore exposing the child, because we know that both vaccination and HP are more likely to fail if there's constant exposure. If you're in an epidemic situation, however, whatever age, I mean, it's irrelevant. You could give it to a 1-day-old child, you could give it to a 100-year-old person. There's great flexibility. And this is the wonderful thing about the principle of similars, that it allows great flexibility, and this is why different methods of prophylaxis are effective. Just as when we're doing homeopathic treatment, we know that people can use high potencies, low potencies, etc. And if their method is used correctly, the results are very good. So we have great flexibility, and the dose and the timing should depend on need.
Yes,
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, sir. And in India, we are giving the homeopathy to prevent the genetic disease from the day one of pregnancy, so that we will prevent the baby from many of the genetic disease. And homeopathy has so much of power to prevent the genetic disease.
Yep.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Isaac, and thank you, Cathy, and everyone. I haven't
Thank
seen
you.
the chat, but thank you all people who have tuned in and to the chat. Before the show ends, I would like to announce the upcoming podcast, which is on May 14th. Merlin, can we have the slide? Okay, with Dr. Shah, MD, who has over 40 years of clinical experience, and he's talking on homeopathy for psychological conditions. He has done several hundreds of seminars and webinars, and at same time at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So most welcome to come. Wow, Dr. Isaac, please come over. I can see your cat.
My cat just joined in.
Everybody's up in Australia.
Right, Merlin. And we also have things going on with HWC. Like we are going to have a HWC webinar on April 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and I am going to come on live radio show Tori Telugu One Radio to answer about for the public awareness about homeopathy and about homeopathic world community. So that will be on April 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And anything which anyone wants to say, Madeline, Isaac, everyone.
No, that's okay. I think there's so many things that you just said that we need to post them.
Yes, we are going to post all this on the HWC, and do not forget to donate $1.
And our Facebook. I mean, for those of you that are listening and may not be part of HWC on our website, please join our Facebook group, and you will be privy to all the things that are going on and all the shows we have and all the things these wonderful people are up to.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, Amna and Madeline. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Isaac.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you next month.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.